Hello, this is a video on how to calibrate a TCB 880. So this is for calibrating the top pan, but what I'm also going to show you is the second scale feature. So if you notice on the side, there'll be a sensor interface where you connect another 5-pin. So for example, I could plug in my weight pad or whatever scale you have and attach it to here. So now this scale could count as 2 scales. It could read 2 sensors. So first I'll show you how to calibrate the pan on top, and then how to fix and make the side port work, and how to calibrate the second scale feature. So first what you do is make sure it's turned off, and just do the normal calibration. You have your unit here, and tricky part is while it's turning on, so switch right here, you're going to hold down the 0 button. So you'll see cal here, so that's good. Now you can press the 0 button and you'll see 0. So my specific model, if you check on the side right here, capacity 6 kg. So that's the maximum. So for calibration of the top pan, they recommend 2/3 of it, or in my case, that'll be 4 kgs. So what I'm gonna do is actually grab that's 2 kg. Here's another 2, so it's 4. So now what you do is type 4 or whatever your 2/3 max capacity is, and put that on the scale. It has to be 2/3. That's what it recommends on the manual. I haven't tried it with other weights, but that's what I tried it with. It works. So 4, 2/3 of 6, and I press 0, and you see it says 4.00. I take one off. So it's 2.00. I could add a 1 kg. So now it's 3. And I can try 5 kg, 5.00. So I'll say calibrate the top pan. So now I'll show you the fix for fixing the second scale feature. It's actually a problem with the wiring. So what you're first going to have to do is turn off your unit and remove the 4 screws. See, there's a hole right here for screws in them. You're going to remove the 4 and lift up the pan. Okay, so I have without the pan here, so be very careful, but slowly. I already removed the 4 screws from the bottom. Lift up, and careful with these cables here. You'll notice how there's 2 cables here for the connector up front, the buttons, so make sure not to mess it up. And what we're going to look at is actually this side port right here, and you see how the cable goes down here. Okay, so I actually removed the 2 connectors here, so be very gentle. This one was a little difficult to pull out, but I was able to pull it out. Make sure not to bend these pins when removing. And what we're going to look at closely is 5-pin, and you'll notice how there's a cable here that goes downward, and it goes here. So these solder points were mixed up and need to be fixed. So more close-up look if possible. You see these 5 are for this cable, which leads all the way to your 5-pin out here, and the other load cell is the one in the pan on top, which is the top one up here. So in this case it's gonna look like this. I already fixed this one, and you'll see if you kind of could just move it and I can get closer. This little writings right here, the top one will say E plus, next one is S minus, S plus, and E minus. So what has to be done is actually get a multimeter, and we're actually gonna check pin 1, which is our red cable, or E plus, which color cable it is. Pin 2 is our green cable, or S plus, which color cable. Pin 3, which is the white cable, is S minus, and then pin 4 is the E minus, while the other one being the shield. So we gotta actually use a multimeter, and I'll show you how to look for that next. Okay, so here's the multimeter. So I'm actually gonna set it to continuity. It's a little sound simple, and you'll know you got the right setting because when you touch the 2 leads, you hear the beep. The beep is the more important part, so how we do it and how you find out which is pin 1. See the little notch right here? To the left of it is pin 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what we're going to check is pin 1. So it's going to be a little difficult to show this as well, but I'm going to lean this up against pin 1. And then on the other end, I'm going to touch the cable to see which one's pin 1. Not that one. There it is. So the black wire in my case, that stripped wire, is my pin 1. And pin 1 in my case went to E positive, like I said previously. Typically it's our red cable, but you can see that cable is completely different. So now we test for pin 2, which is to the left of it. So the next one's to the left of it. So I test all of them. Okay, if you hear that, that is my red cable, is pin 2. This is my S plus, or the signal positive. So now I'll go on pin 3. Okay, if you hear it, pin 3 is my S negative. And you can see it here on the board is my S negative. I already fixed this one, that's why you don't see it, but pin 1 is just a skinny black cable. Close up look, so my blue cable shield. Next one is E plus, being my big black cable. My next one is my S minus, being my skinny black cable. Next is red at S plus, and then my yellow cable being at E minus. So you're gonna have to loosen up all the solder points and then resolder this cable back on, and we can actually show you the calibration step. So what is actually needed, and mine doesn't have it here if you notice, is the pin or something to short these 2 pins while it's turning on. So what I did, I got a piece of solder and I actually put it in between the points. I don't know if you can see it, but the 2 solder to short the 2 pins. There should be a jumper pin. Mine was missing, so I just made my own. But keep it on only for the next step of calibration, which is calibrating the external connection. Just don't forget to reassemble everything. So slowly put the lid back on. Make sure it goes all the way in. Make sure not to bend on any of those pins. And then the pan, don't forget the pan. It won't weigh properly without it, so. Okay. Now you'll see in the instructions, and it is in the calibration book, but it doesn't explain too well, how to calibrate internally. So you'll see how it mentions remove the 4 screws, put the jumper pin, and then you'll see a pass. So you do is make sure the 2 pins are shorted, turn it on, and you'll see pass here. That's what you meant to show. So now what we're going to do is actually calibrate internally. So also in the manual, the second scale. So that's what we're going to do right now. Press 1 6 times followed by 0. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 for 0. And you'll see span 1. Okay, you see span 1 and 30. That's my specific model. So you could actually press the tear button and then go through this, and you can see all the different capacities. You set the capacity to whatever capacity of the second scale that you're using. So in my case, I'm using a pad, but you can change any scale you want. And I am trying to do it with a 30 kg. So this is important. Whatever you set it to, you're going to have to need 1/3 capacity of that weight, 2/3 capacity of the weight, and 3/3 or the max capacity of that weight. So right now it says 30, so I'm going to need a 10 kg, 20 kg and 30 kg. This is all done in kilograms, so you have to get the kilogram equivalent of whatever you're calibrating it to. So after you change it, span 1, just the capacity. So now what you could do is press the 0 button, and you see DIU1 and 50. That is the amount of divisions. So I currently have it set to 50. I mean, I can set that to 10 if I wanted to, or I'll set it 20 for now. That's the amount of divisions you want. I want 20 grams of accuracy within 30 kg, which is fine for my application. Press 0, and you'll see 1 cal 1. So this is where you connect your second scale to the side ports. Okay, so now my second scale is connected to it. It's 0. It's not fluctuating too much. That just depends on the current count of whatever scale it's connected to. So 1 cal 1, make sure the scale is empty, because we're doing the 0 calibration with no weight on there. So what you're going to do is press 0. So now you see 1 cal 2, and you'll see 10 here. So now that is 1/3 of the maximum capacity set. So I said 30 kg is max capacity. So now I'm using a 10 kg. And you'll see how the number went up. Don't worry about what number it says, but so 10 kg is on there. So now press the 0 button. Now you'll see 1 cal 3. So 1 cal 3 is 2/3 of max capacity. So now I'm going to add a 20 kg. So you see the number went up when I added my 20 kgs on there. Okay. Now 1 cal 4. This is the maximum capacity scale. I set it to 30 kg, so now I have to add 30 kgs. So 1 cal 4. So you see the number went up. So that's the 30 kgs I added, which is max capacity. So I set to press 0 button. Now you see it says 30 kg. I can remove 10 kgs. Pretty close, 19.98. Within my accuracy I set it to. I can remove 20 kg. And close to 0. That's how you calibrate the external secondary scale on here. And if you were to do it again, I showed you in the beginning of the video, but you could also do the same. Well, I turn it on and off and press 2 6 times and go through the steps in the manual on how to do it for the pan on top. You don't have to go through this whole menu. What you have to do, and don't forget the step, is now turn off your unit, lift up the pan, and remove your jumper pin. Move it left so it only covers one pin, or just remove it completely like me, and put it back together. Make sure your pan is on. Okay, now we turn it on. Okay, 0. So it's not that one. Right now it's currently, see, I put around 15 kg, but let's see, I put 10. Close. It's within my accuracy I set it to. So it's right now 10 kg of my second scale. And I could do scale select, and it's going to count, and then it's going to start showing the top one. So you can see I'm going to place my 2 kg on here. And again, depending on how good your calibration weight is, that's how good the calibration is going to be. 2 kgs. So if I use a more precise weight, I'll probably get it more accurate on the second external scale, the one connected over there. But that's how you fix the wiring and calibrate TCB 880.